Some women bring light the moment they walk into a room. Others, the light only returns once they leave. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about bitterness. It's not about blame. It's about clarity. Because if you've lived long enough, and I know you've seen the truth with your own eyes, not every smile is sincere, not every embrace is safe, and not every woman who holds your hand is holding your heart. Life is too short, far too precious to waste on women who drain you, confuse you, or cause you to question your own sanity. Especially the ones who hide behind charm, beauty, all those flawless social graces that mask something much darker underneath. In today's video, we'll uncover 7 unmistakable signs of an evil or toxic woman, traits that too many men ignore until it's already too late. This isn't about judgment. It's about wisdom. It's about learning to recognize who deserves a seat at your table and who's only sitting there to take the bread. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. To that, I would add, it also depends on the company you keep. Let's sharpen your clarity together. Ready? Let's begin. Number 1. She's always the victim. This is one of the clearest red flags, and sadly, one of the easiest to overlook. She's always the victim. And I mean always. It doesn't matter who the other person is, a stranger at the grocery store, her boss, her sister, her ex, or her best friend of 20 years. Somehow, in every story, she ends up as the wounded party, the one who was misunderstood, the one who was betrayed, the one who never got a fair shot. You sit across from her, listening, nodding, maybe even feeling protective. At first, it's convincing. She paints vivid pictures. You admire her for surviving such hardship. You start to think, maybe she just needs someone to finally treat her right. That's the hook. But stay long enough, and the pattern begins to show. This isn't about healing from the past. It's about controlling the present. Let me tell you about a man I once knew, Tom. A good man, steady, kind. He met a woman like this after his divorce. She was open, vulnerable, refreshingly honest. It seemed she told him everything. How her ex lied to her. How her boss sabotaged her career out of jealousy. How her family always took her sister's side. Tom respected her strength. He thought she'd been through hell and come out the other side. But as the months passed, something became painfully clear. Stories never stopped, and they always followed the same script. Everyone was toxic. Every breakup was someone else's fault. Every job, every friendship, every chapter of her life ended in betrayal, never accountability. And slowly, Tom found himself pulled into a role he never agreed to play. He was either the hero, always, validating her version of events, or the villain, whenever he disagreed or, heaven forbid, suggested she take even a sliver of responsibility. And that's when it gets dangerous. Because a woman who sees herself as a perpetual victim will never own her mistakes. She'll rewrite every chapter, every conflict, every downfall to protect her narrative. And if you get close enough, you won't just witness the drama. You'll become the next chapter. You'll be the one who misunderstood her, the one who let her down, the new villain in her endless loop of pain. It's a cycle, and it's exhausting. Stoicism teaches us this hard but freeing truth. You cannot control other people. You can only control yourself. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. And when it comes to women who weaponize victimhood, that wisdom might be your only shield. Realize this, and you will find strength. But the woman who clings to victimhood refuses that strength. She rejects it. Instead of owning her power, she surrenders to life's circumstances and demands that you carry the weight of her emotions. And if you're not careful, she'll drain your energy. She'll erode your patience. And eventually, she'll steal your peace of mind. So, what do? You stop trying to rescue her. You recognize her story for what it is, a script built around control, not healing. You don't take responsibility for wounds she refuses to heal. You stay grounded in reason, not emotion. You offer compassion, but you set boundaries. You stay clear-headed. You stay firm. And if her stories never change, you step back quietly, respectfully, but with unwavering clarity. Because Stoic wisdom teaches us that peace is found within. And if someone constantly pulls you into emotional storms, it's not cruel to walk away. It's wise. Number 2. She's addicted to drama. The second sign is something you often feel before you can explain it. She's addicted to drama. And I'm not talking about the occasional emotional reaction. We all have our moments. I'm talking about a woman whose entire life plays out like a stage production. A never-ending show where she is the star, the director, and the writer all at once. If life gets too calm, she'll light a match and burn it down just to feel alive again. Because to her, peace is boring. Stability makes her restless, and without even realizing it, you'll find yourself pulled into her spiral of chaos, into cycles of confusion, conflict, and emotional whiplash that never seem to stop. It always starts small. One day, she's upset because you looked away during a story. Another time, you didn't text back fast enough, and suddenly, that's proof you're pulling away. What should have been a quiet evening becomes an argument you didn't see coming. Now you're explaining yourself, apologizing for things that barely made sense, trying to restore balance while she seems strangely energized. That's the thing about people who thrive on drama. It fuels them. Drama gives them a sense of control. It makes them the center of attention. And when the world spins around their emotions, everyone else is left staggering to keep up. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior is sadly predictable. Seneca once wrote, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes," and that wisdom applies here. 2. A woman addicted to drama isn't interested in truth. She doesn't want resolution. She wants the rush, the stimulation that comes from emotional intensity, whether it's hers or yours. She isn't chasing harmony. She's chasing control through chaos. And if you're her nearest source of stimulation, you'll become the target. Here's the danger. It's easy to think you're helping, that you're calming her down, that you're the stable one in the storm. But you're not. You're playing your part in her performance, whether you realize it or not. And over time, it chips away at your peace. It blurs your clarity. And slowly, you lose your sense of self. You become reactive, anxious, tiptoeing through conversations wondering when the next emotional eruption will happen. And when a man loses his inner stillness, he loses his greatest power. So, what's the solution? Distance. Not necessarily physical, at least not right away, but emotional. Take a step back. Let the waves crash around you without jumping in to save anything. Observe, but don't participate. As Epictetus taught, we cannot control others. We can only control how we respond. And sometimes, the wisest response is silence, space, and the simple refusal to engage in someone else's chaos. You are not obligated to be an actor in anyone's drama. You don't have to step into every emotional fire just because someone lights a match. Your role, as a Stoic man, is to remain grounded, steady, centered, and above all free. Number 3. She controls through guilted. You know that guilt is one of the most powerful tools of psychological control. Studies show that guilt activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. That tightness in your chest, the pit in your stomach, that heavy, sinking feeling, it's not just emotional. It's neurological. It's real. And some women, the wrong women, know exactly how to pull those strings. The third sign of a toxic woman is subtle, but devastating. She controls through guilt. Not with direct confrontation, not with shouting or rage, but in soft, calculated ways that slowly make you second-guess your choices and question your own judgment. At first, it seems harmless. Maybe she gets upset when you cancel plans because you're overwhelmed with work. Maybe she goes silent when you mention needing space or time to reset. You tell yourself she's just sensitive. She needs reassurance. So you give it. You cancel your plans. You rearrange your priorities. You bend a little here, a little there, just to avoid seeing that look in her eyes. You know the one. That look that says, "I thought you were different. I thought I mattered more." Then this. She never has to say the words. Her silence says enough. Her sighs, her withdrawn affection, her quiet disappointment, it wraps around you like fog. And before you know it, you start to feel like you're failing her. Like no matter how hard you try, it's never quite enough. And here's the dangerous part. You don't even realize it's happening until you've already given away pieces of yourself. You stop acting from logic, from values, from purpose. Instead, you start reacting. You start making decisions not to grow, but to avoid guilt. And that's how she keeps control. Guilt becomes the currency, and the more you pay, the more she demands. Not with threats, not with ultimatums, but with quiet moods, withdrawn attention, and unspoken expectations. You catch yourself explaining your decisions more than making them. You find yourself becoming the villain in her story, simply for putting your own needs first. And over time, you stop being yourself. You become the version she wants, the one who complies, the one who bends. But here's where Stoic philosophy brings clarity. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Let that settle in, because when guilt is steering your choices, you're no longer free. Guilt clouds your judgment. It drives you into cycles of appeasement, where your purpose becomes blurry and your values are left behind. So, what's the solution? It's not to argue. It's not to fight. It's to set clear, steady boundaries. To act from reason, not from fear. You offer what you choose not out of fear of punishment, but because it aligns with who you are. And when she tries to pull those strings, again, you stay still, you stay calm, you stay unmoved. Because a man who knows his values and lives by them is untouchable. He is free. And freedom is something no amount of guilt can take away from you, unless you give it away. Number 4. She lacks empathy. Fourth sign is one that doesn't always show itself right away. In fact, it often reveals itself only when life takes a hard, unexpected turn. You know one thing for certain: sooner or later, life will take a hard turn. Maybe you lose someone close. Maybe your health falters. Maybe your business hits the rocks, or the world simply knocks the wind out of you. And in those moments, the raw, unfiltered ones, we learn who is truly in our corner. Because that's when the mask comes off. A woman who lacks empathy, she won't be there. Or if she is, it's only because she thinks she should be, not because she truly wants to. Not because her heart is in it. At first, it reveals itself in small, subtle ways. Maybe you mention being completely drained after a brutal week, and she glances up from her phone for half a second before quickly steering the conversation back to her day, usually about something trivial. Or maybe you open up just a little about something personal, something it took courage to say out loud, and she brushes past it like it's a footnote. Just another random line in a casual conversation. You feel the distance. It's not just that she doesn't understand, it's that she doesn't even care to try. I remember a story from a man I deeply respect. He had lost his wife, his partner of many years. Later, he began seeing a woman who, at first, appeared supportive. She said all the right things. But when the real weight of grief surfaced, when he didn't need words, only presence, something changed. She became uncomfortable, restless, impatient. She didn't have the emotional depth to meet him where he was. Instead of sitting with him in that quiet space, she rushed to change the subject. She offered shallow reassurances, and within minutes, the conversation was back to her problems, her schedule, her world. Eventually, he realized something painful. He felt lonelier with her than he did by himself. And that's where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." To that, I'd add, waste no more time hoping someone will become what they are not. Empathy is not something you can coax out of someone. It's not a skill you can teach them to perform when it matters most. It's either there or it's not. And when it's missing, you'll feel it in your bones. A truly empathetic woman doesn't need to fix you. She doesn't even need to say much. Her presence, calm, steady, sincere, is enough to remind you that you're not alone. But a woman who lacks empathy, she can sit right beside you and still feel miles away. So if you find yourself constantly making excuses for why she seems distant, especially during your hardest moments, stop hoping. Stop spinning it in your head. Pay attention to what you feel. Because Stoicism teaches us not to wish for what should be, but to see clearly what is. And what is, in this case, is simple. If she cannot meet you with compassion when life gets hard, she won't be there when the real storms hit. Not in the way that counts. The solution isn't to plead. It's not to demand more. It's to choose differently for yourself. Walk away, if you must, not with anger, but with clarity. Life is far too short to share your soul with someone who listens with their ears but never with their heart. Number 5. She's obsessed with superficial things. The 5th sign is sneaky. At first, it seems harmless, even light-hearted. But over time, it will begin to drain the life out of you. She is obsessed with superficial things, and not in a playful, treat-yourself kind of way. This is different. This is a woman who measures life and value by appearances, by surface-level status. How big the house is, how expensive the shoes are, how many people are watching, clapping, liking, and validating her on the outside. The problem? She treats those things, the fleeting, shallow ones, as if they're life itself. And if you're not careful, you'll get pulled into that illusion to wanting nice things. That, in itself, is not the issue. The problem runs deeper, much deeper. It's not about the things. It's about what those things represent to her: status, approval, superiority. She doesn't just like luxury, she needs it to feel valuable. And worse, she measures you by it. She judges not just herself, but also you, by what you can provide on the outside. And suddenly, you'll find yourself feeling like a contestant in a competition you never agreed to enter. Whether you make 6 figures or 7, whether you drive a practical truck or a brand new luxury car, it's never quite enough. Because there's always someone with more, always another rung to climb. And she's always looking upward, never content with what's already there. The Stoics warned us about this kind of thinking over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." But to a woman obsessed with appearances, wants are endless. It's not satisfaction she feels when she gets what she wants. It's a fleeting high, followed by the emptiness of needing something more. It's like trying to fill a broken jar. Everything you pour in leaks right back out. She's caught in a cycle of chasing externals. And if you attach yourself to her path, you'll be dragged along for the ride. But Stoic philosophy brings clarity. Externals are indifferent. Marcus Aurelius called them things indifferent, meaning they neither add nor subtract from who you are as a human being. What matters is your character, your virtue, how you live your life, what you stand for, and how you show up in the world. And a woman who can't see past the surface, who can't recognize the man beneath the material, will never see the value in what you truly offer. Seneca said it plainly, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." And by that measure, the woman obsessed with superficial things, she is the poorest kind of companion, because she will never know peace. And she will never offer peace. And peace, my friend, is what a Stoic man guards above all else. So if you find yourself with someone like this, someone who cares more about how life looks than how it feels, understand one thing: you will lose yourself trying to keep up. Your energy, your dignity, your peace. It will all be spent chasing shadows. The solution? It's simple, though never easy. Walk away, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because a man who truly values his peace knows when it's time to leave a shallow life behind. Number 6. She can't admit she's wrong. The sixth sign reveals itself in moments that should be small. A light disagreement, a misunderstanding, a moment of correction. But instead, it becomes something much bigger, because she simply can't admit she's wrong. Not ever. You could lay out every fact, explain your position calmly. You could show her proof so obvious a child would understand. And still she'll find a way to twist the narrative to make herself right. And if she can't win with logic or evidence, she'll shift the ground beneath your feet. Suddenly, it's no longer about the disagreement itself. It's about how you made her feel, about how you're attacking her character, or how you always do this. The original point, gone buried under an avalanche of emotional deflection. At first, you'll think it's just pride. Maybe she's having a bad day. But stay long enough and you'll see the pattern. She cannot take accountability, not even for small things. She'll defend a bad decision, a hurtful comment, or an obvious mistake until the bitter end. Because in her world, being wrong is equals being weak, and to her weakness is unforgivable. But the truth runs deeper than pride, much deeper, psychologically. People who refuse to admit fault often do so because their sense of self is fragile. Accepting blame doesn't just bruise the ego, it threatens their identity. So they defend it relentlessly, even when it costs them connection, peace, and the person in front of them. Because when someone makes being right the goal in every conversation, they sacrifice something far more valuable: growth, connection, trust. A person who cannot admit fault cannot learn, and a person who cannot learn cannot grow. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after." That's the mark of real wisdom. The willingness to welcome correction as an opportunity, not an attack. But when you're in a relationship with someone who rejects this principle, you'll find your point of view constantly under suspicion. You'll feel the full burden of being the rational one. And over time, that responsibility becomes a weight you never asked to carry. It's exhausting. And it's lonely. The relationship becomes less about connection and more about control. And the irony, by refusing to admit fault, she loses the very thing the Stoics say gives life meaning: the pursuit of truth. Because if she can't say the simple words, "I was wrong," she's not just clinging to pride, she's building a wall between herself and the very things that matter most: growth, understanding, love. And for a Stoic man, this is where clarity must take over. You must choose humility and truth in your own life, and you must choose a partner who does the same. Not because she's perfect, but because she's willing to be imperfect and brave enough to admit it. Without that humility, there is no partnership, only competition, and life is far too short to spend it keeping score. Seneca wrote, "Only time can heal what reason cannot." But in a relationship, where reason is never invited to the table, time doesn't heal anything. It only makes things worse. The solution Seek someone who understands that saying I was wrong isn't a weakness. It's one of the highest forms of strength. And if she can't offer you that, then the truth is clear. It's time to walk away, not with resentment, but with respect for yourself and for the peaceful, disciplined life you're building. Number 7. She disrespects your time. If life has taught us anything by this point, it's that time is the one currency we can never get back. Money, you can earn more. Health, you can fight to reclaim it. But time, once it's spent, it's gone. That's why a woman who disrespects your time isn't just careless, she's a threat to your peace of mind. And if you're not careful, she won't just waste minutes or hours. She'll steal years from you in small, subtle ways, so quiet you won't even notice until it's far too late. I remember a man named Richard, a disciplined, self-made contractor from Houston. Sharp, reliable, built everything he had from the ground up. The kind of man other men respected. But in his personal life it was a different story. He started seeing a woman named Elise. At first, she was everything you'd expect: charming, radiant, warm. She knew how to make a man feel wanted. But there was a pattern. She was always late. First 20 minutes, then 40. She'd cancel plans last minute because she wasn't feeling up to it, or something important would come up. Sometimes she'd simply forget altogether. Richard, being the patient and understanding man that he was, let it slide. At first, he chalked it up to life. After all, we're all busy, things happen. But weeks turned into months. And slowly, Richard's world began to revolve around her. He shifted his work schedule to accommodate her needs. He waited in restaurants alone. He postponed trips, cancelled long-planned fishing weekends with old friends because Elise said, "I really want to see you today," only to bail again and again, without so much as a second thought. I'll never forget sitting across from Richard one afternoon watching him stare at his phone. After being stood up once more, he just shook his head and said, "Man, I feel like I'm always waiting." And that's what happens when someone disrespects your time. They don't just leave you waiting physically, they keep you suspended mentally and emotionally. And the longer it happens, the more normal it starts to feel. You begin to believe it's your fault, that you need to be more patient, that this is just how things are now. But a Stoic man knows better. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that is the truth. Richard eventually came to see that Elise wasn't too busy. She wasn't forgetful. She simply didn't value his time because she didn't truly value him. And why did it keep happening? Because Richard, for all his strength, all his success, had not yet learned to value his own time first. The solution? It's not a fight. It's not an ultimatum. It's clarity. Respect your own time as fiercely as you respect your life, because they are one and the same. A woman who respects you will respect your time. She'll show up when she says she will. She'll treat your minutes as something sacred because they are. Epictetus once asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Richard finally stopped waiting. And so should you. Because time wasted is life wasted. Spend yours where it's honored, where it's appreciated, where it fuels your purpose, not someone else's carelessness. If this message struck a chord, if something inside you clicked today, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Share your thoughts, your story, your breakthrough. Even if it's simple, just write "I love this" to show you've completed this session with us. Subscribe to Stoic Capsule and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video. That fuels your growth, sharpens your clarity, and strengthens your path. Your engagement helps this community grow, a place where modern men reclaim ancient wisdom and turn every challenge into a stepping stone. I'm leaving to more videos right here to keep your momentum going. Keep learning, keep building, and most of all, keep rising. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.